Yeah, so basically what we've got a group here that is, we've got good connections into the government. You'll see that was a comment that came from the lead on the golden thread. And now they are the custodians of the regulator. I think that's a good thing. And this was specifically from Tim Galloway to me about a month ago. So I think the whole idea of the industry coming together to come back with an industry response is good, well received. For those of you that don't know, we've got two groups, both of which are overlapping in that we've got people that are working in both. We've got BIM for housing, which we started, we took over about 5 years ago, and we've done a lot there. And we then decided to look specifically at the asset management side of that, and broaden it to all types of buildings, because there was a lot of good stuff that we were producing in BIM for housing. Other types of buildings, universities, schools, etc. And what we did within BIM for housing, we created a number of different working groups, interest groups, who were focused at, say, development. And the principal idea that we're looking at here is better information management. For us, BIM does not mean 3D modeling. 3D models may be part of what BIM is, but by no means the only thing. And the key thing here is that if, for example, you're building the building and you're in the construction group, you want to be able to understand what the information you could get better from the development group. So we've set that up so that those communications can work through. And the same with operations. How can operations operate more effectively if the construction team told them what they've installed? So we've set up a number of different work streams over the last few years, and we produce some amazing information. The groups have produced some fantastic information, which I'll tap to, and it's all available on the BIM for Housing website under publications. We also were asked to lead the Golden Thread Initiative Asset and Survey Information Group, and we actually produced the guidance that went through to MHCLG and then ended up with the Construction Leadership Council. So these working groups, they're all manufacturers there. They're all designers. The others over there are all operations people. And the key thing about this approach is that we get competitors often sitting around the table debating. That's animatic there from Scott Wilson. Start again. Anyway, and then we've got PRP there as well. So the principle is that people are working together. And one of the things that we've...
You're suddenly finding that people are using AI and it's not really...
Sorry. Thanks. Yeah, so different stakeholders need different information. So we recognize that you need different information for different people. And part of that was to do a deep dive and find out what information do you need about a smoke vent or a fire damper. And all of that, we've got considerable information on that. If you're interested, you need to drill into that. We've also worked collaboratively. We've got a Miro board where the team have put together their interpretation of the legislation. So understanding of things, and you're welcome to participate in that if you're interested in having access to the Miro board and also contributing to it. Just put Miro in the chat and we'll get the information out to you. All of those people there are part of the groups that are using that information. I see Connor's on here as well. I don't know if you looked at it yet, Connor, but we've also done a lot around standardization of things. So fire door inspections, for example. We've taken something that was developed for the NHS and we've applied it to residential. So we've got standardized ways of doing fire door inspections, which is tremendous learning, I think, for people. We've recently just worked with Golden Thread Fire Delay to do the same with fire dampers and fire stopping. Now, if you're interested in this area and you want to get involved in either fire dampers or fire stopping, then there's a safety critical assets group that we established, which is going to be a meeting to discuss these things. So if you're interested in getting involved in safety critical assets, just put safety assets in the chat. In particular, we're setting up a group focused on fire doors. But I think that sort of thing. Right, I'm going to hand over to Richard now. He can just explain what we've done on the polls. I've got this, Richard, just to explain what we did initially.
Okay, that's cool. If you just put that up, we run a poll every month. This is just, it just gives you an idea of the sort of results we've been getting, which is George actually said he wasn't surprised. I was quite shocked. 92% of respondents are not confident that they'll receive accurate and complete Regulation 38 information. 92%. 72% are not confident that the H&S and O&M information about a building is accurate and updated. Pretty scary stuff. 43% not confident that the fire and emergency files are accurate and will be updated. And 89% don't believe that their SEO or FD are aware of their duties under the BSA.
Which is
so pretty scary
part of
stuff.
the problem. Yeah.
So we're going to move straight on. We've got a poll for this week. Jess, can you put the link into the chat first off? So if you'd like to click on that link and go to the poll, and I'll go through the questions. Please take the time to do this because it's valuable stuff. Valuable stuff. When you put the link in, just put the questions up for me.
The other thing I would say is that the group here, if you have some questions that you would like to ask, and there's them in here that have been asked by people that are part of the Golden Thread group, then let us know.
Okay, right. So the July poll. Asset managers, do you have regularly updated BIM models that reflect changes to assets and buildings? Yes or no?
To our existing finance model. But I think that in itself should then open.
Right. Do you have regularly updated BIM models that reflect changes to assets and buildings? Yes or no? Number 2, on your most recent project, did you receive a BIM model that reflects the detail of what was actually built? Yes or no? So on your most recent project, did you receive a BIM model that reflects the detail of what was actually built? Okay, question 3. Scroll down, Jason. Of your buildings, how many have reliable as-built drawings? How many have reliable as-built drawings? 100%, 75, 50, 25, 10, or 0? Be honest, this is totally anonymous. Okay, how confident are you that the asset information you have for your building is accurate? 100%, 75, 50, 25, 10, or 0? How confident are you that the asset information you have for your building is accurate? Okay, question 5. Is an asset list required to satisfy the BSR Gateway 3 submission? Yes or no? Is an asset list required to satisfy the BSR Gateway 3 submission? And number 6, is COBie the best IFC schema to deliver as built an asset list? Yes or no? Is COBie the best IFC schema to deliver an asset list? Okay, question 7. For a Gateway 2 submission, are dimensioned reflected ceiling plans required showing sprinkler heads? Yes or no? For a Gateway 2 submission, are dimensioned reflected ceiling plans required showing sprinkler heads? And question 8. Are your projects completing MEP product selection and coordination by Gateway 2? Are your projects completing MEP product selection and coordination by Gateway 2? Yes or no? And if you've answered
Can
those,
can I just clarify on that? So the point about that is that under the Gateway 2 now, the design is supposed to be complete before you start constructing. And one of the challenging areas is contractor design portion that's allocated to MEP. And one of the reasons we're asking the question is that it's encouraging that a number of tier ones now are actually making sure that that's being done ahead of time. So the reason it's there is just to get a feel for whether or how widespread that progressive movement is.
okay, so once you've finished those, if you click the submit button, and then we're away. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Just quickly on something George said earlier. He mentioned the working groups we've got in BIM for housing. I just want to mention those because there could well be people who would be interested in possibly participating, particularly in our design group, which I think speaks for itself, development group, operations group, and we've got a new group that spans across BIM for housing and BIM and asset management, which is advisory and consultants. So if you're a designer, you might put design in the chat. If you're interested in operations, put operations in the chat. If you're interested in development, put development in the chat. And if you're a consultant who wants to get together with a lot of like-minded people and explore everything about consultancy, just put consultancy in the chat. Okay, right. George, do you want to give us an overview of the Golden Thread Task Force?
The Golden Thread. Yeah, your mic is breaking up quite badly, Richard, just to let you know. Yeah. So, right, so what does the Golden Thread mean? It means lots of things to different people, but this is what the Construction Leadership Council have identified, and I want to concentrate on two things. I mean, it's a 70 or 80 page document, as you probably know, but the important thing is that, or one of the important things is that it needs to be considered as a single system, not just individual systems. And also we need something that identifies how things work together rather than in isolation. So for example, just making sure that your fire doors are good doesn't actually satisfy the issue. This is an example where Sodexo and John Sisk worked collaboratively, and it's a great piece of work that they did, the BIM model, and in the BIM model they'd actually created GUIDs which we were able to tap into and connect to product libraries and asset data. Now, the important thing about this is that the information about the assets and the products is easily managed by Sodexo. They don't need any Revit expertise to be able to do that. point is there that that Grundfos pump is then reusable on many, many different projects. So what we're able to do here, and this is the next part, what Sodexo have done is they took 360 photos of all the key areas, the plant areas, and they've tied it back to the same assets that are connected to the BIM models. So the COBie data for these assets is written to the database, but it's also connected to the 360 photos. This is probably 4 years old now. And what they do is if they make any changes, they just go and take a new 360 photo. This is an example of the same thing, but they're using it for verification of what's been installed. So this is another way of the as-built BIM model being managed. It's not just the 3D CAD model, it's also the asset data, which has been federated from many different sources, different disciplines. And then the FM team is then able to relate that back to the 360 photo, which is the true as-built, because you've actually got the thing there. And when they make any changes, all they have to do is go and take a new 360, and they can then update the 360 by connecting it to the asset data. So I think that's a different way of looking at what the handover information needs to be. It also means that the golden thread means making sure that the safety of the tenants and residents is protected. And in this case, we've got a fire breaks out in a kitchen. I won't apologise for the fact I'm going through this again to some of you that have seen it many times, but it's a simple example. We need to make sure that the smoke doesn't get into that stairwell. And there's a number of different protective measures in place. There's compartmentation. And what's really critical with that is making sure that all the penetration seals work. And when something still gets through, you've then got smoke control, detection, and signage. So all of those have got to be coherent. And if we've got golden thread information, which we may have from different disciplines, what we've then got is this connection back to the asset data for this door, which has come through from the BIM model, but also it can be connected back to the product data from the manufacturer. And this is probably the most important thing. What we're doing here is identifying which spaces are being protected by that door and that wall. And the result of that is that if we've then got that unique ID in the system, irrespective of which software is then used to go and do the inspections, they're all recording it against that same asset. And that's something we're going to be covering in one of the project information a little bit later. One of the things that was debated in the BIM for Housing design group this week is how do we identify when something is as built? So a lot of contractors now are pushing back from providing clients with as-built drawings. In some cases, they're calling them as constructed, which is probably the same. Final construction is probably more common. And also, we're also seeing full construction, which for me as a layperson, that's way too early. So one of the challenges with that is to say, well, this is now a requirement, it has been for a long time. You need an as-built plan of the building showing where. So we therefore do need as-built information. And each project now, there's got to be a formal acceptance by the client to say that they've got all the information that they need to support the building. This is a legal document, and also the has to sign a declaration to say that they've provided everything. The challenge is, what does everything mean? And that's to some extent what we're trying to address with the Golden Thread Task Force within our group here. So the principle here is to have a pretty simple way of auditing Regulation 30. These are the asset types that are mentioned in the regulations. And if we can make sure that we've got reference for each item, where it's located, what system it's part of, what product was used, and the data sheets for it, who installed it, who commissioned it, who's inspected it, and who's maintaining it. Those are the key bits of information, irrespective of the method by which that's been achieved. And so what we're doing here, we've got a big group already of people that have taken the time to other regulations, and therefore they are probably the top 5% in the industry. And we'd like very much, if you are interested in this area as well, and to some extent, the fact that you're on this call indicates that you are. If you've not part of that group yet, then put task force in the chat, and we'll come back to you and see if you if you qualify to come into the group, and therefore perhaps get involved in some of the projects.
George, your microphone is
Is
really
looking
breaking
to
up
the Golden
sometimes.
Thread Task Force.
George,
Oh, right. Okay.
really bad.
Yeah. Okay. I can't. Okay. Shall I finish then, or?
Well, yeah, finish. I'm just telling you, so you know.
No. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So that's that, and then we've got software companies involved as well now. So
it might be a problem between
that's
you both.
principally where I'm at.
Sorry, Richard, George. It might be a problem between you both, because I've been hearing George quite clearly, and yourself, Richard, when you've been talking as well.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a little bit of network outage on George's computer, but it's quite intermittent. It's not that serious. His audio has been very clear, at least for me.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. It's pretty much okay at this end. George dropped out just a little bit, that's all. So there's no distortion.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, so just one final thing. So what we're trying to do within the Golden Thread Task Force, we're looking to have projects that we can work on together, collaborate, coming across, collaborate on solutions, learn from the mistakes that we're making, and also celebrate successes. So we've actually got some projects that we can use, and we're going to be identifying people who are willing to be mentors to people that don't know as much as they do, and also people that want to learn. So the ones I'm going to cover in a minute is we've got a residential 1970s residential project. We've got a data center retrofit. We've got a healthcare estate and also an education estate. So these are ones that if you're interested in getting involved in those, then bear that in mind. I'll be covering that later. Okay, so sorry, Richard, just before we hand over to open space. So one of the challenges that we've got is being able to ductwork is, or ductwork dampers are, and also to make sure that you need to know where they are, because if there's a fire and that duct is pulled down, we don't want it to be pulling the damper out of the wall. So you need to know where they are. So in this example, this is what the team working on this project. So it's Autodesk, Open Space, QFM, who did the FM, Rattigans, and Sodexo. In this particular model was pretty good, or very good actually. So the dampers were modelled, and therefore we've actually got not just the fire dampers, but we've also got what the products were that we used as well. So these are all Lindau items, and because the asset data is connected to the product library, You've then got the information about where that particular product is, and also, and this is the key thing that Lewis is going to talk to us about. This information, the 360s, that was all captured during the construction process, nothing to do with asset management. It was done by the contractor so that they got a record of where those fire dampers were installed. And by connecting the two things together, the fire damper and the 360 photo and the data that was in the BIM model, we've got something that's then properly joined up. And in this case, it's also been connected back to the documentation as well. So that becomes a very pragmatic way of creating the golden thread. And we'd like other examples of that. If there are other people on this call that have got examples of that type of joined up process, please share them and we can perhaps feature them on a future project. This is another example of the open space system works when it's been added to with asset data. So we've got there the detailed asset list, and that is then connected back to the open space system, which I think Lewis is going to show us or go through. But the important thing about this is that you've got original photograph before the ceilings went up, so you can see what was there behind it. So that becomes a very, very good as-built BIM model. So here we've got, that's what was actually as built because it's 360, because it's a photograph. But what we're doing, we're enhancing it with smart information. Okay, Lewis, are you there? Lewis from Open Space?
I don't think so.
Okay. Right, okay. Well, we'll...
Can you speak any more about open space? Or not really?
Yeah, I can. I mean,
Because
there's a range.
they've come up a lot, haven't they, over the last couple of months? I was quite looking forward to hearing him actually, give us some of the gen on it, really.
Yes, yeah. Well, the open space is one of many. In fact, I'll cover it later, Richard. I'll cover it later.
Okay.
Let's press
Well,
on.
let's go straight into a Q&A then. Right. Any questions? Any thoughts or suggestions? Alex?
Just a bit of an understanding on open space. So I'm part of Multivista. I think there's a couple other people from Multivista on the call. We're part of Hexagon. So obviously we provide a boots on the ground service, very different to open space. So open space is a DIY solution that is reliant on the contractor going around a site, taking photographs.
Oh, okay.
And they own the data. So obviously when they're doing it, it's their data. So if a contractual issue arises, obviously they don't have to share anything. They are not obliged to share anything. And it's only as good as the person taking the photograph. So we do a lot of work with contractors up in the Northwest. There's some guys from the London site or London office on the call. But we were sort of competing with open space with Morgan Sindall, but Morgan Sindall have sort of moved away from that because what they were finding is when the projects were coming out the ground, they found it quite easy to capture it. When the building is starting to be framed out, it was just falling apart, and obviously junior site members weren't able to take those photographs. They just didn't have the time. They were getting pulled from pillar to post, and they wanted that obviously unbiased record where we're just going around taking the photographs and giving them that sort of data pinned to drawings. So that's the sort of differences between
okay, that makes sense. So open space is more DIY, like you do it yourself, whereas you go and you do it for them.
Yes. So we're purely a boots on the ground service, and because obviously our affiliation with Leica, that's why I mentioned a question about the John Sisk model, because we're Leica's sister company, and a guy called Klaus is on the call who does a lot of laser scanning for us. We use sort of Leica tech, but we go and obviously create the BIM models. And I know Clarion are on the call. I know Klaus and the team down in London do a lot of work with Clarion on producing their sort of as-built drawings and stuff like that. But the reason why I asked the question was about tolerances and whether that was just scanned at the end of the project, or whether that was scanned throughout the project, relating to sort of deviations and clashes, whether that was actually taken into account to actually be a full as-built model at the end rather than just a model.
I
Can you
think
answer
the
that,
point
John?
is, Alex. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I invited Charles Hill from Multivista to do a session today, a bit of a slot, and he's going to arrange that. I don't know if he's mentioned that to you, but we very much want the input from Multivista as well. But I think the important thing here, one of the things that we're questioning as an asset management team, and this is the point, there's a lot of effort is going into creating Revit models, for example. And we're an Autodesk developer, by the way, so I'm not criticizing Revit, but there's a question as to what people are going to do with that model once you've created it. And arguably the 360 information that you're capturing as well, that's probably more sustainable as far as FMs are concerned, because there's a big investment goes in from a modeling perspective to try and finish the model. And in many cases, it never really gets finished because the M&E side of things, the level of detail that's actually needed for asset managers, for example, where are the vowels, for example, often doesn't get added because the designers haven't put it in and specialist contractors haven't. So there's a whole range of different things here that we're trying to engage the community in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to stress this. We are absolutely technologically agnostic. We want to cover any and everything. Shandon.
Hi, thank you very much for giving these options. So I just wanted to understand how the open space help in which are the stages. Like if you are talking about any project start from design to construction and the maintenance, we saw that asset management, the process and explained well. Now, as you know, the model has started from the design and also the handover stage. So the asset management model, along with the open space, how it is integrated well from the beginning to maintenance team, so that they can utilize it properly. Or open space is also offering CMS solution, or it's also only the digital twin platform, or how the open space combinedly offering altogether this product.
Yeah. So what Open Space are doing is, as Alex was just saying there, they're recording what's being installed, right? So they're not working at the design end. They're not working post completion. Active Plan is, so that's what we're designed from the outset, and we're capturing the asset information progressively through the process. The open space element is, and a lot of the other tools that are being used, not just open space, but there's many others that have. It's been a very great success in the industry of capturing what's being installed. What we're saying is that there's ways of leveraging that now, so that can then be more easily kept up to date, because taking new 360 photos is straightforward.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions before we move on? No one? Okay. Well, we're going to move on now to something very current, data engineering and AI. George, you're going to do that with Paul Oakley? George?
It's very odd. This, yeah, no, absolutely. You broke up again for me.
Everybody else says it's fine. Sorry. Yeah, you did you hear what I said though? Not really.
It's still clear, by the way, at this end.
Great. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got a couple of groups that we're pulling together now, interest groups. We've got people that are interested in data management, data engineering, and also AI. So this is a particular work stream that we'd like people to contribute to. So I'm just going to give you some examples of some live project work that we've been doing. One of the challenges that we've got is that there's a lot of information that's delivered just as PDF documents. And in this particular case, this is a fire stopping report. And it's got some really good detail in it. And you'll see here that as we run through, there's a lot of detail, and then it's a fairly typical way that this is done. The location of that fire stopping asset is just put as a pin on an image of a drawing. Now, that in itself, it may appear to be a good thing or adequate to do it, but if you're an asset manager, how are you going to identify where that fire stopping is? You've got to then go and open the report and then cross-reference it to the building. So what we've done is then we've taken that, and then rather than it being just a pin on the report, then you've got to open up dozens of drawings to be able to find it. We've extracted that information from the image and from the report and put it into a COBie data set. By doing that, we've got the tag number of the asset and also where it is. And then this is now it in that same building. So what we've now got is we've got the fire stopping for all of the floor that's come through from that report, but it's all being generated so that the fire asset manager can then just click through and see where all of those assets are. Now, this is technically boring for some people, I imagine, but it's actually immensely useful because what we're doing is taking information that was locked in a PDF document and bringing it out. Here, what we're doing, we're overlaying that with a drawing. So this isn't a model, it's just a CAD drawing, an image, a PDF of the compartmentation. And what we're also then able to do is do the same with the fire doors. And that information can then be also read from the database into the spatial model. So you've got a combination. You've got here information that includes the iMongery and the information about the door schedules as well. So by pulling these things together, we've actually got intelligent information that was locked away in drawings and schedules and PDF reports. So we're happy to share with you the methodology that we're using on that. I'm sure that other people in this group are using AI in sorts of interesting ways. So we'd like to encourage you, if you are doing that type of thing, or maybe you want to learn how to do it, then join this particular working group, and we'll share that information with you. We're sharing this as part of the Golden Thread Task Force. So that's that.
So sorry, what you're asking people to join? Which one, George?
This is the AI and data engineering.
Right. So
group.
put data in the chat if you want to join this AI and data engineering initiative. Just put data in the chat.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Sorry, George.
Yeah, I'd also like to take the opportunity to just flag up that I mentioned at the beginning, that we're starting the fire safety critical group again, in particular looking at fire doors. So we're revisiting the fire door information, and we've got I've got Daniel McCroft on he's leading the National Door Summit. He works for a manufacturer. Can I just introduce you, Daniel? Could you just say something about what you're trying to do and how we're going to try and work together?
Yeah, thanks, George. This has been a great session. So we're a manufacturer of timber fire door sets. We've been across various sectors in the construction industry. Initially, the business itself started in 1999, but we've procured various entities over the years, including Hall and Torse Joinery from Balfour Beatty in 2012, which to some may be a recognisable organisation that goes back to the late 1800s, and we still employ people who have sort of been with us essentially for 40 years with that organisation. So we do have a lot of skill sets within the business. We're obviously always seeking to learn, and we do not like the word expert. So we'd like to think we're professionals of what we do, but we've also always got something to learn. There is a lot coming up around product regulations off the back of the Building Safety Act that's not really being spoken about much in the industry. We've got our own events organisation that you just alluded to there, George, the National Door Summit. We've done various events before, either standalone events or fringe events to big industry shows. So more recently, we partnered with yourself for the National Door Summit in Manchester, alongside the Housing 2025. So that was really well attended. We had some excellent engagement from there in that event, talking about the upcoming product regulations and how it's impacting the industry. And for us, obviously, what's really, really important is we go back to basics and we're looking at products that have been tested and looking at learning lessons from good specifications, weak specifications, specifications that lack informed intelligence in them, and also cutting out some of the complexity and dark arts myths that I think have embedded themselves in the industry, that I think particularly clients have found very frustrating to work with, because you look at a door and you think, oh, it's a door, but it's actually can be a very, very complicated asset to understand and made up of a myriad of component parts. So we would like to try and make it simple to understand and go back to basics. So that's our part to play. Does that make sense, George? We do a lot in social housing, but we also do a lot in the new build sectors as well. So we work with tier one contractors and subcontractors, but we work with specifiers, architects and end clients end to end.
So the purpose of this is that we'll bring together people who are door manufacturers, door fabricators, door installers, door inspectors, and people that maintain doors. And that's just doors. We're also going to, in particular, because of the work that we've been doing on fire dampers and ventilation systems as well, we're going to open it up to that as well. So if you are involved in any of those areas, or maybe you know somebody that you use regularly that you'd like them to become more golden thread aware, then maybe put their name in the chat. That might be an idea to do that. We can invite them. Yeah, so that would be a good thing to do. The principle is that the knowledge is in the industry, and if we can bring people together and they can share it, then everybody benefits. Right.
Okay. We're gonna just incidentally, just before you go into collaborative, George, we're going to be holding a number of one-to-one sessions. One-to-one, it'll be 1 to 2 or something, where you can have like 15 minute, 20-minute chat with a couple of members of the task force, get some view of what we're doing with that, and your suggestions, hopefully. If anybody's interested in that, you're talking about literally 15-minute call. Put your name, put one-to-one in the chat, and we'll contact you. So if you want to just have a chat with a couple of members of the task force over the next few weeks or something, put one-to-one in the chat and we'll get back to you on that. Okay, George. So collaboration.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I've just lost my slide for a minute. Bear with me.
Okay.
Okay, so the principle here. I'm not in my office at the moment, so I'm just
I think George has cut himself off, actually. So we'll have a hiatus. There we go. Sorry, can I just, Margaret, you've got your hand up.
Yes, Margaret Sackie, University College London. Really, really great to connect with George again, and we've spoken several times. Is Sodexo on this call? Just out of interest.
Anybody from Sodexo on the call?
Hello, yes.
Brilliant. If I could just contact whoever that was, that'd be fantastic. Sorry about that. Thank you.
yeah. So right, can you see my screen? So the principle that we're working on here. Yeah, sorry, there's some security thing kicking. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the challenges that we've got is that the information is in a range of different purposes. And therefore, what we're trying to do is to bring things together so that we've got the information in different, whether it's coming from BIM models, whether it's coming from schedules, or whether it's coming from 360s. We've then got that information in a simpler, structured way, and making it so that it's more findable. So information that is maybe captured as 360s, we can then bring those things together and make them smart, make them searchable. And part of the process there is to look at this from a point of view of what else are we then going to connect it to. What we've got here is, sorry, this is advancing. Bear with me. I'm very, very sorry about this, but it's automatically moving it on. So the principle here is that we've got information that is smart, and therefore it can connect back into a lot of the processes that are already operating during the construction process. So it becomes addressable. So the question that one of our colleagues asked earlier in terms of does it connect back to, for example, maintenance information or the like, because it is machine readable, it can connect back into any application or any data set. Also, the way the 360 is captured can be in a variety of different ways. And Barry is going to show some examples of that in a moment. And there's the key thing is that the information is already being collected from the asset manager's point of view. It's already being collected for different purposes, in most cases for quality. So just as Alex from Multivista was saying, that's something that they're doing for the construction team. So from the asset manager's perspective, that is information that could be very usable and valuable going forward. So part of the process that we're getting to with the task force is then to look at how that's going to be done. Is it being used to capture information, to validate information? We've got a project at the moment where one of the big surveying firms is planning to use it for condition assessment. Also to improve procurement, to make it easier, to take away some of the uncertainty on procurement. There's safety, disabled access and PEEPs and the like. Also, we've got a leading fire engineering company looking at this from a point of view of adding 360s to their fire risk assessments. And also, how do we then make it so O&Ms are easier to navigate using 360s? So the point about this is that we're then enhancing that type of information. So we're trying to make this so that we're starting at a basic level of capturing documents initially, and then capturing model information, but making sure that the documents relate to elements in the models, and then where it's appropriate, make it digital twin. So these are generic processes that we're trying to encourage. And this example here, this is one that we started 2 years ago with Tower Hamlets. And here we've got 78 tower blocks. I'm having fun and games with PowerPoint here. It's not progressing. Okay, let's just try this one. Oh, dearie me. For some reason, PowerPoint's not playing ball. So we've got hospitals that we're working with, and this is one that Caroline, who's on the call at the moment, this is one of her projects. Caroline, do you want to just speak to this just for a moment? Say what you're looking for from 360s on this.
Yeah, hi everybody. So what I'm looking for on the 360 is within the project.
Caroline, you're very, very quiet. Is that your mic or?
Oh, okay, hold on.
I can hear you now.
It is very quiet though. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
That's a bit better, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have my headphones and I'm on site. What it is that we're looking for on the 360 is obviously the client we have has a number of hospitals within their portfolio. And obviously they are based down in London. So the sites are countrywide. And we're looking, when I do take these on the 360, I'm looking to working on the project, showing the progress. Number one, showing the progress to the client, and to explaining to the client where we are, what they need to do. It could be because we're looking at trends in between the servicings, in between the maintenance services, how many reactors we're having. So we're trying to point out to the client what you need to change, the condition of your assets, and obviously what the asset actually is, because a number of top management don't actually know what the asset is. So we're trying to show that, and with the 360 and all the information, we can capture this. Thereby, when I go into a meeting, it makes life easy because everything is there. The pictures from the 360, as well as the surrounding asset information, the necessary information. It also shows us a before and after, what it looked like before, what it will look like after, and anything that we need to get rid of in between. So it works pretty well for us.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks very much, Caroline. This is another project that we've got as a contributor. I think Nick, you're on the call at the moment, aren't you, Nick?
Yeah, that's correct.
So Nick and his colleague Paul have taken 360 photos of a particular building. So they've given us this portfolio of, I think there's about 70 or 80 buildings, isn't there, Nick?
Yeah, we've got 76 locations from Whitby down to Scunthorpe on the South Bank.
Yeah. So what we've done, they've given us the asset list. So this is their master asset sort of taxonomy, and those have then been imported into the database. And then this is one of their buildings. So they've just taken the 360 photos, and that's now in the platform. So we've then able to see that, and you can then go and tag the assets, what you see from that. So one of the things that we're looking for the group to do, can people go on mute, please? Thank you. What we're looking for people to maybe start to do with this as a collaborative venture is to be able to go and tag the assets that they can see in that 360, and then look at how we can then glue together other information. So part of the process, and this is what we're encouraging people to perhaps look at here. The knowledge is in the team, the collaborative working groups, and in the task force. So what this has done, that hoist, that's been recognised, that's now been tagged, and it's now written to the database, so that can be connected back to SFG 20 or whatever. And this is a project that Barry and I have just been working on this morning, which is Tower Hamlets. This is a market in East London that we've just been working to. Again, for some reason, PowerPoint's not allowing that to advance. And we've been doing that in partnership with a company called Skybase Solutions. That's really to just do the initial flag. And then I'm going to just ask Barry to step in here and just explain very quickly what we're doing as far as the preparation, because we're actually
George, can you hear me all right?
Carry on, Barry.
Yeah, so
yes,
what we're doing at Watney Market is we're trying to come up with a scheme that we can share for those people who have no experience of using 360 for asset management rather than the construction phase. Obviously, there's great people like Multivista and OpenSpace and people like that who are using it during construction, but there's a big change and a slightly different approach if you have existing estate stock. So what we're trying to do at Watney Market is we're taking this as to try and establish a best practice of what you should do from start. So this morning we've been out doing some drone imagery to get a 3D model of it, but we're going to be sharing as we go through the journey of documentation, laser scanning, constructing a BIM model relevant to what the needs of the client are. Using 360 for asset inspection and different aspects of that, particularly to do with fire safety. And so we'll be documenting this as we go through. So we're going to be keeping a journal and setting up a page on a website somewhere and just sharing that journey with you so we can say what's the best practice in terms of documenting things now, but also making it future proof so someone can walk in later on with a 360 camera and stitch everything in so they know where those photographs were taken. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next 4 or 5 months, I guess, and sharing that.
So the important point on that is that we're not actually doing this work. What we're doing is we're working to actually define the specification so that we're going to be going out to the market to tender. So people like Multivista and Plowman Craven and other people that are probably on this call, sorry, I can't see who's on the call, may be interested in this as a project, but not just them. The project also is going to require compartmentation surveys to be done. It's going to require fire engineering. We're probably going to need to do something on ventilation as well, in particular around the air quality and mold and things like that. So there's a whole range of different areas where the experts that are on this call may be interested in getting involved and steering us in terms of how we're going to procure it as well, because we've not yet decided how we're going to do it. The key thing that we're trying to do here is, rather than saying, okay, let's go out and just scan it and produce a BIM model, the big point is, why is the BIM model being created? What information is actually going to be needed and who's going to use it? talking with the different departments within the council, which is fire, building safety, resident engagement, decarbonisation, so that we can then produce a better brief. And that's part of what we're trying to achieve with the task force. Sorry, Barry.
No, that's fine. I mean, one of the things I find when we're asked to do documentation is quite often the client really doesn't know where to start. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know what techniques are available. They don't know what they can do. And this really is, we're trying to use this for ourselves, but also to share the best practice, things not to do, things you should do in order to make the whole project sustainable. What level of BIM model do we need to do? For example, it's a pretty, that is a huge cost implication, depending on what's required. So we'll be sharing this journey alongside with everybody. And just as a journal, this is what we did, is some videos, this is what we're doing now. So if anybody wants to share that, I think probably put something like, if you put Watney in the chat, so we know that you're interested, and then we can share the link with you as we go through. So that if you put Watney in, and if you want to follow us along, I'd be more than happy to take suggestions as well, because the whole point of this is quite often I hate the word blue sky thinking. Normally the answer to the question is in the room. And we've got lots of people here who have expertise in certain fields that we can plug into. Ooh. Great, nice to see so many people joining on this little journey. Okay, and then, oh yeah, and so we're currently working on another project which is to do with something completely different, which we've not really talked about. If I share my screen, so this is a data center. Can we say where it is, George?
Yeah, it's in.
Yeah, so this is an old banking headquarters, which is now being sold and repurposed. But in this particular area, the information that is required is for the buyer. One of the things that is not talked about is how you can use 360 and asset information as a critical part of the vending process, of the conveyancing process. If you're buying a facility, you want to know what's there. You want to know its condition. You want to know how long its life is going to last. So an asset register of a property that is being sold is hugely important and can add millions to the value or subtract millions to the value, depending on the state of play of all the ME. So we've been doing 360 documentation of this, and I'll just share my screen. Hold on a sec. Where am I?
So what we're looking for on this is people who are interested in getting involved in tagging plant rooms in data centers.
So can you see my screen, George?
No.
Oh, hold on a sec.
No, I've still got the one, the old one up.
Yeah. Hold on, let me have a look. Window. Hold on, let me get this up now. Can you see us? Got it now?
No. Yes.
Yes. Have you got it looks like a cabinet with wires in?
Yeah, okay. Plant room one.
Yeah, it's a plant room, but this is the data center, and there's a few bits left in it. But critically, what people need to know, first they need to know the space and stuff, but it's all this sort of assembly. It's about what racking they can put in, what condition it is. Because as this adds significantly to the value of the property, that people can have a look and see. But what we're going to do here is compile an asset register for the new owners, so they know exactly what it's got. What we've done is just done a brief 360 tour, so they can use that and then zoom in and look at labels. So if I do, oops, sorry, move it around. My fingers are all sticky.
But if you're interested in getting involved in this, because this is going to be coming out to the market as a project in due course, but you might want to get involved at the moment in looking at you know, for example, those connectors that are up at the top there. This has all been fitted out. It's a magnificent facility with the plant rooms that we've now got as well. So that this is the data halls, but we've also got the plant rooms. And
yeah, I mean, the plant rooms associated with these data centers are pretty complex beasts that consist of chilling units, massive chilling units to cool down all the hot, but also uninterruptible emergency power supplies. Because one of the key things about a data center is you have to anticipate what power you're going to need, and you have to buy that power from the power generating supplier or the power electricity supplier. So this is just to say that there's another way of using 360 in asset management. It's not just about the maintenance, it's in the procurement and vending, and as part and parcel of the contractual negotiations. Having an asset register and knowing that, say, for example, can you use this stack? Well, yes, you could. But at the same time, is how much room, what facilities, what cooling, what power supply am I going to require in order to operate this? It's hugely important. It's not just about the cost of the square footage and the bricks and mortar. It's about the cost of the plant and this idea of mean time between failure. How long is this plant going to last before I have to reinvest in a new generating system and things like that?
Yeah, it's also
Okay,
the energy
George?
side of things. What's happening with this as well is that they are coming up with innovative ways of cooling rather than using normal air conditioning to be able to do that. And they're also upgrading it. At the moment, it's 8 megawatts of power, and they're going to be pushing up to 200 megawatts of power. So yeah, interesting one. If you're interested in data centers, then put data center in the chat. And the other thing is that if you've got projects, as Barry was saying there, what we're trying to do with Whatley Market is make it a collaborative data sharing thing. For example, when we were doing it this morning, the one of the things we learned, or I learned, I've never seen this before. When the drone was in the air, it was being attacked by seagulls. Anticipated. The pilot was used to that, but it wasn't something I was expecting to see. So these are the sorts of things that we could learn along the way. So if you're a landlord or if you're a contractor that's actually commissioning a new scan to BIM, then get in touch with us, and we can you know, there may be things that we can share and you can share with us as well about what you're doing.
Or indeed, if you like shooting birds.
Seagulls.
They're birds.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think that's
okay.
probably...
So any questions? Let's have some questions. Let's hear from the audience. Pierre.
Can't hear you, Pierre.
Can see you.
I think we're having amazing...
There's something going on, isn't there, with the
network, aren't we?
Yeah. People could hear me, but you couldn't hear me. And
yeah.
Right, Pierre, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Has anybody else got any questions just whilst Pierre's sorting himself out? Ah, okay.
Coming through. Can you hear me, George?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Quickly, just a point of competition in a way. We've got two streams of data collection. The first one will be in the design engineering, tender, construction handover. The other one is what we're doing at the moment, which we've been talking about, is when we get to the end of the project, at the handover stage and then into the operations is actually doing the 3D photos, etc. My one point that I'd like, because there's very little data actually available for performance, is the first part is, if we look at the first stream, we are gathering data at the design point, and that is then useful for early procurement. It's part of the scheduling and the specification, etc., right the way through till the product and the contract then in stores. So there's a value behind that. If that's tied, instead of having two streams, is that the other stream is the one that we're doing now, the 3D collection, which I'm going to use the term verification of the development. So in other words, the golden thread from the earliest decisions with a record as we go through the models to the point when the contractor now starts putting products in and suggesting products, etc. And I would like to see that we actually get some idea of a project type and the kind of efforts and resources that actually go in the first stream. In other words, what is that collection actually costing us and what's the value of it? So that's just a sort of how you can actually quantify and qualify which one is the most appropriate.
Yeah, but yeah, my view, I absolutely agree with you. I don't think it's either or, right? What I'm saying at the moment is that we're actually doing it. The BIM process, there's a huge amount of effort goes into doing it during the BIM process, a big investment, right? But in many cases, the last 20% isn't being done. And that's because nobody's paying for it. It's not clear as to who would produce those as-built, right? And therefore, because it's not being done, in some cases, I mean, it may be on some cases. Now, I've got no idea what the results of the survey was that we did earlier, but certainly anecdotally, I think there's very few projects where people are actually completing the detailed M&E, for example, which is obviously what that's a lot of that's maintenance, and therefore that information is missing. So I think the 360s that are certainly in the case of, I think, Multivista and Open Space, it's already been paid for. It's been paid for by the construction teams because what they need is something that's an accurate record of what's been installed. Now, why isn't that being used for as-built? That's the point. So I think it's a no-brainer, really.
No. So there is no two streams. In fact, it should be, that's the additional part, which is the verification at the end of the scheme, which actually gives just confirmation as it's gone through. We can actually trace those things and see and then get that back as a value. Okay, I won't take the platform over for the rest, but thank you.
Yeah, I would just say it doesn't have to be at the end, though, because Multivista will tell you that they're doing this. It's certainly after design, hopefully, because construction started, but they're engaged right from the beginning of construction, I think, and therefore what is being installed can be verified at the time it's being installed. So when you say at the end, it doesn't mean, when the client gets the keys. That's the beauty of doing it with people like Multivista and Open Space, I would say.
So George, final part is it's not at the end, but it's when the installation has taken place, because all the guarantees and the valid insurances, etc., all kick off when it's in place, ready to go, because it's now installed.
Correct.
So it's something that has this multiple benefit, not just a singular benefit of one party.
Very good point.
Okay, I'm gonna, Gordon, please, you just hold just a minute for me. I've just got a quick one actually that's out of the chat. George, Theo said you showed earlier using AI to extract data off your PDF forms and put them into your database. Was the data extraction manual or automated? If automated, how did you do it?
I think it's certainly semi-automated. It's a matter of identifying what data you need and then using a variety of methods to do it. So there's a level of data engineering, and some of that is supported by AI. There is nothing at the moment that completely automates the process, and the AI just magically does it, as it were.
Okay.
But we're really impressed with what's been achieved. What we're actually doing is tying together information that, quite frankly, should have been tied together, as I'm sure Pierre would say this, that we should have schedules that have got reference numbers on them that relate to the drawings, and that should all be connected up. But what we've been able to do is to retrospectively do that, which I think is a big step forward. And we're not the only ones that are doing it. That's really what I'm saying. We can learn from each other on this.
Okay.
So, George, it was
excellent.
more I than AI that was doing it. It was intelligence of myself and Tim writing .NET applications and things to scroll through thousands of documents to pull the information out. And that was a lot of what we did.
Okay, great, thank you, great. Mohammed, I'm going to come to your question after Gordon. Gordon.
Yeah, Richard, George, well done. Thank you very much for the contributions so far, and everybody else that's mentioned. I think we're kind of going back to the silo mentality of the phase of construction in the REBA 7 stages, and certainly your point earlier on about design being concluded, and I speak from a distributor and specialist MEP equipment that is supplied into the construction industry and the contracting industry. They want to leave that to the lastminute.com to get the best price, and they want to try and value engineer to put product substitution into that process, and where does that fit in that chain, and how do they validate that to go into a construction design as fitted drawing? We often, subsequent to procurement, revisit those sites and ask for the as fitted, ask for the schematics, ask for an understanding of what the installation is like. And we, more than numerous times, like too frequently, the as fitted drawings are not a true reflection of the constructed asset. Now just imagine that presently as a 2D aspect, and we're talking about a 360 or a 3D or a kind of spatial conception, or the models that you talked about earlier on. There needs to be a seismic change in attitudes to the construction industry and potentially to the design industry, and I'm offering it out there to the whole sector, the whole audience here. I'm seeing improvement on that. I'm seeing pressure coming from the areas that you've talked about, in the sense that the investment institutions that own the buildings are now seeing snippets of all of the good work that's being done by everybody here on a digital data capture side of things to validate the efficiency of the asset. And they're now forcing or trying to put considerable strain on the construction industry. But the construction industry, in my opinion, just moves at such pace that it can't get up to speed with that. It can't pause everything to try and change the way it's been working for 30 or 40 years. It just wants to try and readjust. But that takes one hell of a time to readjust, from my opinion. But that could just be my opinion. But I know there's other people in the audience that I think can contribute to that process from an MEP side. And the other thing I'd just like to say, I don't know how many contractors we've got in this process at the moment. We've got 100 and odd people in here, but I'd be delighted to hear that we've got at least 15% to 20% contractors. I think we've got kind of service providers that are all trying and motivated to change this process. But I don't think we're actually getting engagement with the, they're not coming and talking to us about their issues, but maybe I'm just a grumpy old man in that regard.
Okay, can I just, right, I've got a couple of questions from the chat. This one's quite, hold on a minute, I've lost it. Right, Mohammed has said, is there a session to talk about asset management for infrastructure projects? Do we get involved in that, George? Should we?
I think possibly that's, I mean, certainly we're interested in that. The principles are common, but some of the detail is different.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, but not now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bit two step away for us at the moment, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. We can discuss it. Yeah. I think at the moment, maybe buildings within infrastructure is probably the key thing there.
The midway.
Because obviously, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That might be a way of thing.
Okay. And I've got another one here.
Mohammed,
sorry.
Sorry. If Mohammed's got a project that we could then perhaps look at, that might be a worthwhile thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Mohammed, are you there? Mohammed?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi. Have you got a specific project in mind?
We have in Qatar.
In Qatar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I could come over for that. That's not a problem.
Okay. Next session.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, by all means, let's discuss it, Mohammed. I mean, we've got some people in the task force from Bentley who do a lot on infrastructure. So it may be useful to bring some of those people in as well.
Is that worth you and Mohammed having a chat sort of off meeting, George?
Yeah. Yes. By all means.
Sure, yeah.
Mohammed, George will get in touch with you and put you in touch with some people. Right. Another quick one from the chat. What is really needed? Right. Our challenge is supporting clients with asset requirements and what is really needed, including COBE and format, MBS, SFG20, Fiery, carbon data, maintenance info, tagging, etc. Is there a session or group reviewing these aspects?
Sorry, Richard, I didn't get that. Is that a question?
Yeah. Is there a session? This network is just dreadful, isn't it? Did you hear what I said?
It's awful. I don't. No.
Right, George, look at.
Just going to try and read it. Is it in the chat?
It's in the chat. It's Andrew Simpson. It's not far from the bottom. It's the biggest. It's not far from the bottom.
George, it's asking about basically the asset information requirements and what the work that we did initially setting things out on Fiery and.
Oh, do you want to explain that then, Paul? Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's various work that's already been carried out on that, on defining specific asset requirements. So the hacked list that we have, which went through all the things for BIM for housing in terms of typical asset types within housing, the classifications, use of Uniclass, use of IFC, mapping to SFG20 and those sorts of things were all included as part of the work that we undertook from that right at the beginning.
Okay, Andrew, are you there?
Actually, I've just read it.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, I've just read it, Richard. Yeah, and that's definitely something that I've been talking with. Yeah, it's definitely something that Matt Wilkie's interested in as well. So yes, that's part of what we're doing.
Is
Andy,
that
I'll
worth
pick
you
up
having a chat with Andrew, George, a one-to-one on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that'd be great.
I'll pick up on that. Yeah.
Thanks very much, George. Yeah, it's a lot of the projects are mainly can be educational, universities, and other commercial offices and government projects.
Yeah. So, Andrew, where are you from?
It's well based in Sunderland and the northeast and Scotland region.
Okay,
That's where our
so
projects are.
okay, good. All right, yeah, I'll be in touch with you. I've just realised you're a different Andrew Simpson to the Andrew Simpson that I know from Waits, Andy Simpson. So
Yes,
I apologise for calling you Andy.
No, I'm from Bowman Kirkland.
Okay, George, so you can pick that
Oh,
up
right,
off meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to say, can I have a word, Judge? Oh, just to say, one of the interesting things, and the question why is really, really important. But one of the things we're going to do at Watney Market is actually doing exactly this. Why do we need this information? So Watney, if you want to keep up to speed with this, why do you need this information? It's going to be super critical to all the stakeholders. And I think the Watney Market project might be a useful sandpit for us to ask these questions why and try to establish what really is required going into the future. There's no point getting data that no one's ever going to use. So I think it's a really good point, Andrew. But Watney Market, one of the prime reasons for doing that is to ask this question and go through the process of what do you need? What does the client need? And try and anticipate what it's going to need in 5-10 years time, not at the end of the construction process. So
that's a good question, Barry, because we're a potential project where the owner will actually own the project for 50 years. Who knows what's going to happen in 50 years time when they hand it back over?
Well, exactly. I mean, and you're looking at decommissioning and looking at, 50 years ago, we wouldn't have had the problem with asbestos if we'd thought about it, would we? Who knows what's going to come out of the woodwork, excuse the pun,
exactly.
In 50 years' time. But no, one of the whole points of the process that we're going through here is it is really important to get the right information in a sustainable way. That is useful. There's no point getting information that no one's ever going to use because that's expensive.
I think the other interesting thing, Andrew, is that as far as if you're talking about work on schools, that's a very interesting area that we'll have a specific conversation on. As you saw maybe at the beginning, I said that we want to do something on schools specifically because as Active Plan, we've been involved in the schools program substantially right from for the last 15 years. We've not been involved actively over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, but it is something that we are interested in picking up on now because the problem is there's been a fundamental disconnect between the department, the user of the building, and who's responsible for all the information. And that is the DFE has done a good job in creating a set of information requirements, but I'm not sure how practical it is in terms of people using it.
It's a good point, that, George, because there's a lot of our designers and other contractors asking what they couldn't do all this information. It's information overload. We don't know yet.
Okay, so you guys can have a chat with that offline, can't you?
Well, I was just going to ask if anybody else on the call is interested in schools. If you put schools in, then because I think there's some specific things that we could do on schools that's relevant, either new builds like Andrew was just talking about there, or indeed, I know that in September, I think it is, the Plum and Craven are going to do a session on work that they're doing for decarbonisation on schools. So that's the sort of thing. If you're interested in schools, then put schools in, and we can do something together on that.
Okay, so let's do a quick reminder on groups to join. Within BIM for Housing, we've got design, development, operations, and the BIM for Housing, BIM and Asset Management Consultancy Group. We've got safety critical assets, including specifically fire doors, but put safety critical into the chat. We're running workshops throughout the summer, actually, come to all or some, in PFI, put PFI in the chat, data engineering and AI, put data in the chat. As-built models, if you're interested in that, put as-built in the chat. We've got a project. We're running workshops on specific projects. If you've got projects that we can share information with each other about, put projects in the chat. And lastly, the Golden Thread Task Force, put GTT or Golden Thread in the chat for more information about that. And if you want to talk with any of our members, a couple of our members in a 15-minute chat, put one-to-one. So one-to-one gives you immediate in to the people who know what's going on. One-to-one. One
last thing, Richard. If you've got a question that you are not sure about, if you've got a question that you'd like to ask the group, if you could message us with it, we'll try and get it included in maybe the next survey, maybe earlier. We may be able to answer those questions. We're also meeting. We meet every morning, every morning at 8:30, don't we, Richard? For a drop-in. So if you're interested in engaging in that in some way, then you can drop in and ask questions. Richard and I probably don't know the answers, but we almost certainly will know people who do.
Does.
Yeah. So if you're interested in just dropping in of a morning at 8:30, just for half an hour, you don't have to come every morning, obviously. Then that might be a thing worth doing. So if you're interested in drop-in, put drop-in in the chat as well, and we'll send you the link to do that. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Great meeting as usual. We'll see you all either in the workshops or in September for our next forum. Great, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.